friendly. So it's got some sort of subset of things you can't actually put in. All right, I see 22 folks. How many do we have on currently? 70? Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's give it until we get at least 30, and then we'll go ahead and the rest of the folks can join as we get started. So my fellow team members at the Agile Learning Academy will go ahead and be available for anybody who has any technical issues getting connected. Just go ahead and post in the chat that you're having a problem, and they'll go ahead and help you. All right, so I got 33 going, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first few are just warm-ups to make sure that everybody gets into the system and understands what's going on. So number one is a word cloud. What city are you joining us from today? You have 25 seconds. I'm guessing the big giant red one is going to be Houston. What do people think? Ooh, Mumbai, nice. Toronto, Atlanta, Melbourne. Yes, all right, excellent. All right, our next warm up. How many years of Agile experience do you have? Ten more seconds. All right, more than 10 years with 13 folks. Definitely very cool that we've got a more experienced crowd. All right, final warm up. Is everyone ready to play?
Woohoo!
Thank you, Tony. I love your companion there on the game. I think she deserves extra points just for cuteness. Okay, so our first real question for points is, what year was the Agile Manifesto signed by its authors? Oh, 36 answers, 37, 3 more seconds, 2, 1, 42 answers. Ooh, very good. 22 folks got it right. All right, currently in the lead, we have Champion Condor. Da, 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 da.
You get more points if you answer quicker?
Yep.
Oh, it's on. Okay.
Okay, yeah, now it's a competition. What statement is not part of the Agile Manifesto? Two, 1. Ooh, very good. 29 folks got it right. Our current leader is Amazon Condor. Oh, there seems to be a Condor trend here. But not far behind is Stellar Bunny. Which of the following does Agile not promote? $20 seconds. 10 seconds. Got 47 answers already. I think that might already be everyone. Okay, here we go. 45, got it right. Oh, that was too easy. I'm being too kind. All right, our current leader, Amazon Condor, wins again. Next question. Agile should be thought of as (42, 43, 44, 45, 46). All right, that looks to be the 47, 48 folks we've got now. And 43 got that it is a mindset. Excellent. Current leader, still Amazon Condors. Come on, folks. Somebody's got to knock them out of this high spot. All right, what do the letters in the acronym VUCA stand for? All right, 48 answers already. Nice. Okay, good. Oh, interesting. We had ambiguity, uncertainty, velocity, and complexity. Interesting that we had that many people who think that velocity was part of VUCA. Definitely an opportunity for a subject of a talk in the future for us. Okay, and Amazon Condor is still in the lead, continuing to increase their lead. Next one, what are the Tuckman stages of team development? I see some people thinking hard. 45, 46, 47. All right, 38 folks have it right. Excellent. Okay, Champion Condor is starting to close Amazon Condor's lead. What does Lyssa Adkins' X-wing diagram represent? Lyssa Adkins. All right, 29 folks got it right. Excellent. And oh, Amazon Condor is yet again regaining their lead. Or further
Everybody's on fire, though.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. What is the Cynefin framework? Apparently I got a couple of folks with some other questions on that one. Excellent. Although the person who got who chose how the Welsh spelled the name Kevin, I think you should get an extra point. Oh, now we're down to just 42-point lead. Come on, Agent Eagle, you can do it. Coming from the back of the pack. All right, next. What does the acronym PDCA mean? Okay. 37, I think we've almost got it. There it is, 48 folks. I think that's everybody. Excellent. Prepare, define, configure, and assess. Interesting. Is that from a different knowledge area?
Yeah, just improvised.
Improvised? Oh, okay. All right. Ooh, down to just a 33-point lead. Come on, champion, you can do it. What are John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership? Excellent. Ooh, interesting. We had a lot of folks looking at the green as well. Very cool. Another area where we might want to revisit. Excellent. Ah, Stellar Bunny, yes. Taking the lead. And Agent Eagle, excellent. Got to keep it exciting, got to keep people guessing. What do the letters in the acronym SMART stand for? Ooh, overwhelmingly, oh, excellent. Almost everybody got that one. Okay, Stellar Bunny maintaining the lead, Champion Condor moving back up. All of the following are characteristics of being agile, except oh, got 49 players now. Excellent. 50 players. Ooh, had a few people join in at the end. Excellent. All right, excellent. Had a few folks who were thinking about being pragmatic and curious, but no, still majority. Being knowledgeable is not a characteristic of being agile, specifically. Oh, Champion Condor, we're gaining the lead, but not by much. Definitely some possibilities here. 2 more questions. Can we get to new leader? When was Kanban first created? We're going old school with this one. Ah, that one was a tough one for folks. Excellent. Might be another thing where we want to talk a little bit about the history of Kanban, how it came out of Japanese manufacturing in the 1940s. Todd, that definitely sounds like something up your alley.
Yeah, I would have. I look at it as different Kanban.
Definitely, definitely. Much the same as our next question. When was the term Scrum first used? And I mean that in the Agile product perspective, not the sport.
Last question, right?
Yes, yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Oh, definitely need to talk to some folks about the history of Scrum too. Okay. And our winner is, our third place winner is Agent Eagle. Silver goes to Blue Leopard. And the gold goes to Champion Condor. Get a round of applause.
Who was Champion Condor? Tom. Very good. Tom's first meeting. Tom's first meeting with us. Glad to have you here with us, Tom.
Very good. All right. Okay, so next we'll be handing this back off for the Houston Agile Leadership Network announcements.
Thank you, Sam. That was awesome. That was really fun and a great icebreaker. I'm sure a lot of us had, again, good time competing with each other on the knowledge. Fastest finger first. Can we get the slide share back up here? Sorry. Thank you. Next slide. Yes, again, thank you everyone for joining us today to the Agile Leadership Network Houston event. We have, again, we had the career space and the icebreaker segments just completed. We do have this session recorded. Just want to call that out for folks. Next slide. So we do have, again, photo opportunity with our panelists. We do have a well-rounded panel tonight that is going to be participating in the State of Agility discussion. We do have, I would like to probably give folks the next 4 to 5 minutes, just again, getting off of screen share and again, sharing your video and then just taking a picture and posting it on the social media platform of your choice, just tagging it with the hashtag ALNH. And again, we just want to take the opportunity of having a chance to take, again, in the virtual world, a photo with our panelists. We do have, as part of our panel, Alistair Cockburn. We do have Melissa Betts. We do have David Hawkes, Kerri Sutey, Melissa Boggs, and Todd Little. So with that, we just get off screen share for a couple of minutes. Again, get your cameras, phones, cameras, and yourself off of video, or get self on video.
I love how I think Eva wins the prize. She has like a permanent smile, like you're not going to catch me not looking great. Wade is the king of taking selfies with virtual meetings. So Wade, do you have any tips and tricks for us?
Yes, facial expression is very important. Look happy, don't look like you're sad, and get a great angle in there. And then the big tip is to tag the people that are in the picture with the @ sign and LinkedIn. That will get you out there even more. I got a couple announcements. I don't know what time we're going to, are you going to open it up for announcements or?
Yeah, we're going to have a Q&A and after party. I think this, everybody just making sure they take the photo op. We have a few minutes, Wade. So while we're taking pictures, if you want to announce, go for it.
Great. I got 2 things. November 7th, Saturday morning, the Houston product community, my co-founder, Ana Maria Garcia, is going to speak on the Kano model and not just strategically, but how to actually tactically execute on the Kano model. So that's one thing. Today at work, I work at a company called Mainline. We do esports for colleges, and we are posting an opening for a head of engineering. I'll put the link in here for it, but there's actually a $5,000 finder's fee. So if you know anybody, I saw people do a double take on that. Yes, a $5,000 finder's fee for anybody who refers a head of engineering that we end up hiring. So we do collegiate esports tournaments, and next week we are starting doing the Madden football video game for 200 colleges in the US. It is the first of its kind type tournament. We work on the technology that runs all of that. It's a great company, great gig, and it's a brand new space. So if you have any interest, or you know of somebody who is interested, please send them my way. I'll post the link in here. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Wade.
Wade, do you have a job listing?
Yeah, I'm posting it in the comments right now.
Okay.
And was that Tom?
Yes, I have some friends. I will.
Good. I was planning on calling you.
Interested in this space.
Planning on calling you tomorrow. So yeah, people be prepared. I'll be calling next week. I can do this on my company time, so I'll be reaching out to a lot of people here.
Awesome. Thank you, Wade, for sharing that information. Again, these events are for the networking, and again, we appreciate you sharing that information. So it looks like we had some fun with the icebreaker, and we've got an opportunity to take some selfies. Got some good tips about that, about how to take a good selfie as well. So we'll move into the next slide. So we do, again, we do have a survey that survey links that we'll be sharing in the chat tonight. We appreciate everyone's feedback. So please do take a couple of minutes at the end of the event or during as well, and do provide some feedback and what you would like to see in upcoming events. We'd again like to listen and hear from all of the various participants in today's event. Next. Again, Agile Leadership Network Houston has partners with, again, these are our sponsors. We appreciate all of the partners working with us. Again, I just want to call out and give shout out to all of them and thank them. Our recent most sponsors have been Agile Learning Academy. They have in fact helped conduct the icebreaker session tonight. That was really fun, and I appreciate that. And for tonight's event, we are actually doing this as a collaboration. Agile Leadership Network Houston is collaborating with Agile Austin. We did have Cassandra present earlier in the career space. Again, thank you to Cassandra as well as Will Simpson for partnering with us for tonight's event. On the screen out here, you do have the contact details. Again, if you want to take a screenshot or just grab a shot of the information, we encourage you to do that. Thank you. Next. Also, again, a lot of these events are, again, volunteer. We appreciate the volunteer pool that helps us get these events in place. So please pay it forward. And if you do want to contribute and be a volunteer and or be a speaker in any of our upcoming events, please do send us an email at info@alnhouston.org. And we will be, glad to have you come up in our upcoming events, or have you again come and help us organize some of these events. Next. So I do want to share a few of our upcoming events. Next, please. We do have on the 24th of October, this Saturday, We do have, we have the one-day Agile MBA program and conducted by Larry Apke. And we have the registration link up here. It is a $150 registration fee. And again, we encourage that if you're interested in this, take a screenshot, and also the information to these upcoming events is also available on the ALNH website. Next. We do have upcoming training as well by some of our sponsors, Evolve Agility and Agile Learning Academy. So again, they have various sessions through this month and next that are listed out here. Please do, again, if you're interested in any of these, the links, the information on these is listed out here. And also there will be more details available on their individual websites as well, the details of which you see on the screen. So if you're again interested in it, please, I encourage again to you to take a screenshot of it. Also, if you have any questions, do post them in the chat, and we will be happy to share the information through that as well. We do have, again, Agile Leadership Network Houston conducts 2 events on a monthly basis, on the 1st and the 3rd Thursday of every month. So these, what you see out here on the screen are the 2 events that we've planned for November. On the 5th of November, we've got Erica Henson, who's going to be coming and talking to us about liberating structures. And again, the registration link to that is available on the screen, and we'll also have that. It is also available in our on our website. On the 19th of November, which is again the 3rd Thursday in November, we do have another panel that we are hosting. It is an all-women panel, and the topic for that discussion or that panel is going to be the impact of women on agile organizations. It is going to be, again, talking through the diverse roles and opportunities that women play in agile organizations. The registration for that has been opened as of this morning, the link to which is again seen on the screen out here. If you do need more information about it or would like to find out more, you can either go to the registration link, or it is again available on our website. You can take a screen print of this, or if you have any questions, do let us know in the chat, and we will be happy to share this information with you. In addition to these meetings in December, we will be hosting again the end of the year virtual party on December 3rd. And this is, again, we want you to save the date, more information to come on that. We will have giveaways and DJs and a lot of other fun stuff that we will be doing as part of that. The giveaways again are going to be in the spirit of Agile and from an Agile community perspective. So we will have trainings and other similar such giveaways. So do save the date, and we look forward to having you join us for that as well. Next. Awesome. With this, we again, the session tonight is being recorded, and now it is the much awaited the panel discussion for tonight, the state of agility. For that, I am going to introduce Sabine Khan, who will be conducting the state of agility panel for us tonight. Sabine is an enterprise coach, and she's based out of Houston and working currently with Amazon Web Services. She is co-founder of the Agile Learning Academy. And again, with that, I'm going to hand it off to Sabine so she can introduce our panelists for us tonight. With that, off to Sabine.
Thank you so much, Susmita. Appreciate that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the screen with everybody because we don't need that anymore. So tonight, welcome to the State of Agility panel discussion. And I know you guys were all here for today. So just to hear everybody. So before we kind of start, let me go ahead and introduce our panelists. And while I do that, I would appreciate if the others could maybe mute their or hide their videos, so therefore we can see the panelists up front. So first of all, we've got on the panel today with us is Dr. Alistair Cockburn. Of course, he's internationally known as one of the initiators of the Agile movement in software development. He's also the co-author of the Manifesto of Agile Software Development that was created in 2001. Great job in getting those answers right. But as I was doing my research to kind of find out things about him, I saw him being mentioned as a project witch doctor. And apparently, since the 1990s, Alistair's been providing optimal solutions to software development community. And he's written several books about it, maybe contributing to surviving object-oriented projects, agile software development, people and methodologies in software development. He's not only brought awareness, but solutions that impact the world today in software development that we're in. On top of that, he's also considered the world's leading expert in requirements gathering. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard the term use cases. If you have, it's because he introduced it in his book called Writing Effective Use Cases. A common, a fact that not everybody knows is that he's also co-founded the International Consortium for Agile, which is IC Agile, with Amit Sidki and Ash Raphael, which, I'm proud to be a trainer of. And he also has created the Heart of Agile, which consists of the 4 words: collaborate, deliver, reflect, and improve. So we're excited to have him on the panel today. So welcome, Alistair.
Hi there.
Hi. Our next presenter or speaker will be Lyssa Boggs. Lyssa is the co-CEO and Chief Scrum Master at Scrum Alliance. She is also an international speaker and is an accomplished certified enterprise agile coach, and has been a Scrum trainer and has over 18 years of experience that she brings with her. She actively contributes to the Agile community with not only for work, but also with the larger Agile community to contribute to. And she blends her creativity and strategy and making bold moves to make sure that she can help everybody. She leads with intuition, data, and vulnerability in pursuit of joyful, prosperous, sustainable workplaces for our own organization and the world at large. So just as I said that Alistair Cockburn might be the project witch doctor, Lyssa prides herself as the magic inviter, the what if asker, and a servant leader who empowers those who work with her to do the next right thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what her responses would be on some of these. So welcome to the panel, Lyssa.
Thank you, Sabine. Hi, everyone.
Our third panelist today is David Hawks, who is the founder and chief agilist of Agile Velocity, which is an agile transformation partner focused on helping organization. He is also a certified enterprise coach and a certified Scrum trainer who is passionate about helping organizations achieve true agility beyond the basic implementation of agile practices. David's primary focus is to guide leaders through their agile transformation by helping to create successful transformation strategies and effectively manage organizational change with focusing on achieving real business results. And also by understanding the reasons for failures and the keys to success, he has created the Path to Agility transformation framework used by organizations around the globe. Fun fact about him, he's a hardcore Texans Longhorn fan. And David not only bleeds burnt orange, but is known for crazy 18-hour tailgate experiences, arriving at the lot first and leaving last. So let's welcome David to the panel.
Yeah, thank you. That's because the tailgates are way more fun than the games these days. So
that's true too.
Yeah.
So our next panelist is Kerri Sutey. And she is an enterprise agile coach with over 15 years of experience in planning, prioritizing, and executing programs, and leading teams across diverse functional areas, including marketing, IT, modeling, and simulation. And in recent years, she has focused on her time with coaching leaders, programs, teams, and their journey to be successful in constantly changing the ambiguous environments. She finds joy in the aha moments that she collaborates with, and it reaches innovation. She's also the co-founder of the Agile Coaching Circles, which is a global community meetup that provides a safe space for people to practice their coaching craft. So if you are an Agile coach and looking for that, you need to get in touch with Kerri. And again, when she's not coaching, you can find Kerri hiking in the mountains or exploring new cultures or watching college sports. So maybe Kerri and David did run into each other at the game. So with that, welcome, Kerri.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Nice to have you. So our fifth panelist is Todd Little. So Todd is an accredited Kanban trainer, and he is also the chairman of the Kanban University, which is one of the leading provider for professional Kanban management training. He is also the founding member of the Agile Leadership Network. So he has served on the board of directors for Agile Alliance and also Agile Leadership Network, and was the co-founder for conference chair for several of the Agile conferences. He's been working in software development for over 40 years. And for the past 16 years, he's been a frequent presenter at Agile and software conferences around the globe. He's also co-authored a book, Stand Back and Deliver, and Accelerating Business Agility. So welcome, Todd.
Thank you.
All right, last but not least, we've got the lady who brought everybody together, Lyssa Adkins. She is the current president of the Agile Leadership Network. She is a certified Agile coach. She has over 13 years of experience in software development. And just like David, she likes to assist organizations in their Agile transformation journey. So she has helped companies such as Cisco and Chevron. And as the president of the Agile Leadership Network, she is a servant leader that enjoys representing such a talented and diverse group. So I guess a round of applause for all of our panelists. Welcome, Lyssa. And thank you for
Thanks so much, Sabine.
All right, so as we get started, I want to lay out some particular ground rules and instructions. This is going to be a very unique kind of panel discussion. So we are not going to be asking single questions to each panelist at all. We are adopting a different pattern here. In the theme of agility, we're going to embrace liberating structures to conduct this. So generally, our society is kind of faced with some serious problems today, maybe global warming, COVID, economics, and they're wicked, so-called wicked problems. And problems that are wicked are because we ourselves, our beliefs and values, our habits are part of it, and they cannot be solved in the traditional way, and we need new approaches. So in this State of Agility panel, we're going to address them by asking wicked questions. And those are a way to articulate the paradoxical challenges that a group must confront to succeed. So during this session, I will read out the wicked question, and then I will ask one person in the panel to answer. That speaker will get 2 minutes timed to share their input. After that, I will pick a challenger who will now present their view on it for 2 minutes. Once that has been presented, then I will open the floor for the panel speakers for 6 minutes to make sure that they can make their point or critique or comment or debate on it. Once the timer goes off, we will be moving off to the next question. Will we have a solution in the 10 to 11 minutes? Well, we'll find out. We'll find out what our panel speakers decide as they explore the topics. So are you guys ready? I can use some yeses on there.
Absolutely.
All right,
Already.
and these guys need to get ready for
Ready.
difficult, wicked questions coming your way. All right, question number 1. How is it that the Agile Manifesto is considered agile and has never been revised simultaneously? And if the Agile Manifesto doesn't update, how do we ensure that Agile stays agile? And with that, I'm going to pick the first one and time him is Alistair.
Oh, it's easy because the Agile Manifesto isn't supposed to be agile. I don't know who said that. Like, so the basic statement's wrong.
Okay. And
Go for it.
why do you think that?
I don't know whoever said it was agile. Did anybody ever, did any of the manifesto authors ever assert that the Agile Manifesto was supposed to be agile? I don't believe I ever heard that. So that means somebody else projected their own wish on it, and I'm going to let whoever wants to pick it up from there.
All
No,
right.
I will say one thing with a little bit of time left. We actually discussed at the meeting, should we update it ever? It was actually a point of discussion. And we decided not to. And the reason we decided not to was because those particular words were a confluence of a particular set of 17 people who were there fighting a particular battle at the time with very particular, like, you know, enemies, as it were, and you can figure out who they are by reading the manifesto. And we were well aware that if anybody had been substituted, there were like 35 people invited. If anybody else had been there, the entire thing would have been different. So we said, okay, this is a snapshot in time. It's who we are here. It's what we're fighting now. It's what we think is true, right? And no, we're not going to meet. We're not going to update it. It's more like the Declaration of Independence in that sense than the Constitution, which was built for being morphed. So that's why it's not an accident that it wasn't updated. That was deliberate. And our feeling is that if anybody else has got a different battle, they go write their own whatever they want to at the time.
Okay. All right. So with that, I'm going to bring either a challenger or a debater. So how about Kerri Sutey?
Oh, am I supposed to be challenging? Because I would have actually said, I think of the manifesto as a vision. So something that is sort of more the why of where we're trying to go, and really about focusing on delivery and where we bring value in. And where I see it having maybe grown or changed over time is the way in which the manifesto was manifested. So in the different practices and the way that we bring the principles to life. So for me, I've always thought of the manifesto as sort of a vision. And I think, you know, as all visions go for anything, they warrant inspection, and to continue looking at them to see where are they falling short if they are, and if they're not, then we celebrate and keep moving forward.
Sabine, we lost
you, Sabine.
Comments from the other panelists.
I'll jump in. You know, I see, like, the manifesto. I think the common one misconception is that it defines Agile, and as Alistair said, it was a snapshot in time. Agile evolves every day, right? I mean, there's an infinite number of Agile practices, right? And it created, I agree with Kerri too, right? Like it created a vision at that point. It inspired a lot of us, but there's so many different things that fit in this large umbrella now that has emerged, and it continues to evolve.
Any other thoughts in here? Melissa, Boggs.
Which one? You know, the only other thing that comes to mind is that it's actually the manifesto for Agile software development. And a lot of times when I hear people wanting to evolve it, it's because they're wanting to evolve to things beyond software development, which I'm all about, like the evolution of agility for other places and other industries and other applications. But I think for the most part, like Alistair said, it was a snapshot in time. But even now, I think a lot of those things still apply to Agile software development. But there are certainly other places in which we are becoming more agile. I don't think that warrants a new manifesto, you know, and if it does, then it's for that snapshot in that industry. you know, whatever that might be. So I think it has a lot to do with application, where you're trying to apply it.
I'd be curious what Todd has to say, because I know he's been around since exactly at that time.
So basically, I agree in principle with almost everything. I think that the key thing is that the Agile Manifesto does not define agility. It defines what some people came together and said, this is some things we have been finding work well for software development. Great, that's a placement for it. But if you're doing something that gives you agility that is not called out in the Agile Manifesto, or you're doing something against what's in the Agile Manifesto and it's working for you, don't think you're wrong. You know, do what worked to get you agility. And so it is a document that was put together just like the Magna Carta, other things, you know, and Magna Carta has lived since 1215 and defined some things have evolved, but it did some useful things. You know, said that all the land, including the king, will live by a rule of law and things like that. These are good principles that are set out, but they evolve. And you know, I don't think there's a need for something that defines agility either. I think if
I could try one more time, something that just occurred to me, and that's a divergence between software development and agility. So one way that I used to describe it was there were only two moments in time when people got together and really talked about what is this thing called building software. 1968 at the NATO conference and 2001 at that workshop, where in each case people said, look, this is what I think building software is. This is really the heart of building software, right? And in that sense, that's good. So in a sense, what we said was, there are maybe 200 really important things you could think about when you're trying to build software systems. But if you had to cherry pick just 4, what would you cherry pick and hang your reputation on? And these are the 4 we picked. Then in a sense, we attach this word agile to it. So, well, that's kind of cool. Like, is there a word for this? We say, yeah, agile is a good word, right? And that's the marketing term, that's the hook. Then the word agile took off. So we could look at 2 things. Like, if you're writing software, those are 4 pretty good things, and it probably are going to be good for a very long time for writing software. If you're interested, as I am, in taking the word agile outside of software, then we got to look at it. Then it's a slightly different thing. And, you know, there's my stuff behind me, the heart of agile, where I've gone these days with it. So like Melissa said, there's the software aspect and there's the agile aspect. And I think it's maybe a good time to separate them and say, the manifesto as written is good about software, and when you extend it, you have to loosen up something.
Yeah, and I'd build on that also, that it's a guide. It's not a you must do this. Right? These are things to be thinking about. And all of agility, the key thing that I see about, and the challenge we see in agility, is that people want the recipe that says just do this and it'll happen. My number 1 recipe is use your brain. Right? If you don't do that, you're not going to get agility.
Should be common sense.
Yeah, it should be common sense, and it should make sense to you. And if you don't understand why you're doing something, you ought to really be looking at that. Yeah. Understand the why all the time.
I see in the comments someone said, drop the hammer, Sabine.
You got 26 seconds left, so I was going to let you guys talk. Any other thoughts in the last 18 seconds? All right, with that, then I'm going to cancel this one out. Let's move on to the next question. The selling of Agile is a big business and has undoubtedly enabled the spread of the Agile message. But has it had the commensurate results, given that so many Agile transformations are unsuccessful? So with that, I'm going to hand it first over to David Hawks.
All right. So I think we, especially in the coaching and Agile community, I think we set a high bar every time we go into an organization or every time a transformation starts. And so while I think we would say most Agile transformations haven't achieved their full potential, I would probably argue that they've gotten better in some way. You know, there's definitely ones that have done damage and that, but I wouldn't say that they necessarily are all unsuccessful. And I think we're going through a period of, 10 years ago, those first 10 years in the 2000s, the aughts, I think we saw a lot of team level agility. Then we've kind of emerged into or grassroots, and then team level transformation, and then we're into like scaling agility, and now we're into now moving into business agility, right? And I think you could say there were a lot of successes at the team level, but they hit a ceiling, and then that's when some of the scaling types of things have emerged, right? So I think it's just a matter of maybe sometimes we're grading too hard, but they're definitely not getting all the way through. But these big enterprises have to go through multiple learning cycles in order to get there, and so there's an evolution to that as well, right?
Okay. Well, with that, I guess I want to pick on Todd a little for this as a challenger about the selling of business, selling of Agile.
Sure. So I think the challenge I think we face is that as we have grown the market and as we've grown into later majorities, and we're finding that, and we're going through with the concept that is a change in what people are looking at. A lot of people are looking for the quick solution. They're looking for just make it happen. They're also looking for, and this is a challenge I think we have with leaders in organizations, is they're looking for, can you just make them agile, right? And that becomes a challenge too. And then I think we have a lot of people who are willing to, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are willing to take the bucks, right? And just do what it takes and then run away. They're not blatant. I'd say another part of the problem here is the challenge of transformation in general. I think it's a, oftentimes the big problem people face is that they come in trying to transform. The Kanban approach to it is to not transform. The Kanban approach to it is to evolve change over time. Start with what you do now and do it incrementally. Don't do a big bang. And it's ironic to a certain extent that the Agile transformations are largely using the old style big bang approach of design a future state, which is effectively a waterfall in some sense approach. The approach we take is much more evolutionary, which I think is, I don't know that we can absolutely claim that we've gotten better results that way, but certainly we have a lot of successes in doing that. But there are also, I'm sure, some bad Kanban implementations out there. So I think it is a challenge. If we didn't have the Agile as a business, I don't think we'd be anywhere close to where we're at now. It would have just not taken off. You've got to have an ecosystem that supports it. You've got to have people who want it and people who are ready to serve it. And if you don't have that ecosystem, we wouldn't have it. So I think we have to work with an imperfect world, and as I said, try to maintain the integrity of providing what our customers really need to make it successful.
Yeah, I would love to echo that. I think the ecosystem is the piece that often gets missed. So often it's, we want to, we're selling Agile, we're selling transformation like it's a product, instead of looking at, are we set up for success? And by that, that means our people, are they ready? What does our culture look like? And how does that support us? So we can implement certain frameworks or certain practices, but we also want to make sure that we're not forgetting our people and our culture, and making sure that they're ready and that they're open for the changes that are coming their way, and that how do we set them up to be successful? And I think that will help us to continue pushing forward to the successes we're seeing.
Do we still have time, Sabine?
Yeah, we have about 5 minutes and 14 seconds left.
Okay. I kind of want to go back to, I'm actually in agreement. You're not getting debate out of any of us, Sabine, because we're all like, yeah.
You guys are like being, yeah.
But I actually want to go back to what David said, because there's so much judgment. Like, who are we to decide? It certainly is up to the people within the organization to decide if that transformation has been successful or not, if they have reached their business goals. But I also look at it as like, if I have helped one person in that organization, and then that person goes on to another organization and helps 2 or 3 more people, then ultimately, like over time, you know, I always talk about my daughter's 14. By the time my daughter gets to the workforce, which is not far away, you know, I hope that she has an expectation of customer interaction and an expectation of continuous feedback and an expectation of being treated like a human in the workplace. And we don't get that by like plugging and playing, you know, into a big organization. We get that by changing hearts and minds one at a time. And, you know, I haven't been around as long as some people like Alistair, but long enough to have seen that spread, like to see people that I worked with 6 years ago go on and help other people.
So I have some comments here on the side. One is about the single biggest impediment to any transformation is middle management. Any comments on those?
I think we did a disservice to leaders for a number of years in the agile industry. When back to the team level agility, what did we do? We went and told leaders all the things they couldn't do. We said, you can't come to the retro, you can't taskmaster anymore, you can't even prioritize your team's work. But we didn't do a good job as an agile industry of telling them what their role was now, right? And I think that's changing. But I think for the longest period of time, I think we didn't support them. And so I think part of the comments I've seen there are, we've got to involve them, right? We've got to help them figure out what their identity is, but they're the most threatened, because if we start changing hierarchy structures that are architectural based to more value structures, then all of a sudden their fiefdom is going to get blown up. Right. And so we got to help them have some safety to, well, what is their role in the future and how do they now provide value, and help arm them with those skills and that ability. So I think they're definitely a part of it, especially at an enterprise.
Yes. And we have to stop acting like leaders are a different species. I mean, everything that you just described, David, is like, we have to understand their needs, and we have to understand what is going to help them be successful and be more agile. And having been someone who spoke that way, and I'm now actually in that seat, like I'm very human and, you know, very much have some regrets about the thoughts that I had back then. I may not have said it out loud, but leaders are human beings too.
Well, then we need to learn their language. We're speaking our language, and it's noise to them, right? We need to speak their language. They actually get a lot of this stuff if we can convert it into their language. But
I agree, Todd. I think that leaders speak in metrics a lot of times. And so not converting it into their language makes it all feel like soft, woozy talk. I think to David Hawk's point, the psychological safety that's missing for middle management is really likened to everyday abuse, because they're in that middle ground where the teams are accelerating really fast on their maturity. And although leadership gets it conceptually, they're not living it. And so they're the liaisons that are caught in the middle in terms of being these interpreters, you know, and in addition to that, they don't quite know the way things are lining up if they're going to have a job when this is all over with. So I think it's up to leadership to really introduce some psychological safety and job security throughout the transition so people can get about the business of being brave and transforming.
You're on mute again, Sabine.
Okay.
Well, we're down to only 15 seconds left, so I am going to close this one out. With it, we're going to move on to our next one, which is, how does Agile address diversity given that the technical industries are dominated by men and the Agile Manifesto was written by 17 men? So with that, I'm going to Melissa Betts, you get to go first.
Okay, so I'm going to have to execute a little bravery here in answering this question honestly. I think kind kind of ally illiteracy and white male guilt is kind of leading the cause of the death of diversity, if you will. I think white males not understanding that like optics don't equate to opportunity has led to what I term as false allyship. You know, like white women are not spokespersons for people of color. As dynamic as white women are, they're a minority, yes, but does promoting them advance people of color? No. And to white male allies, I think, you know, being really clear that there's no angry mob like waiting to burn them at the stake for past sins. But there's rather kind of a growing frustration that it'll take another 100 years for them to understand that death and diversity is not recognizing that empowering people of color equates to them getting the final say. You know, there's a dynamic community of people of color within Agile that are eager to partner with them and help them get it right. And we want them to win together. I think the remedy is for white males to follow the lead of folks like Todd Little and Will Simpson, you know, who have gotten it right by building real relationships with people of color, and to be brave, do the work, mentor a person of color with your intellectual and financial resources. The bravery and vulnerability and the curiosity, you know, will ultimately at the heart of it help us all as Agilists transform the world. So sadly, I've worked with some amazing clients who they've still opted for white men and white women for roles that have more vocal and economic authority and upward mobility, such as product owners and product managers and enterprise level coaches. And I'm eager to see a person of color fill a leadership role in a digital transformation that uses agility as their vehicle. So I want to challenge us all as a community to really support, you know, us collectively in diversifying our voices and really helping white men learn how to use their power to help transform us with not just optics, but using our voices and having authority behind the scenes as well as the visual representation.
Okay, so Melissa, you did go over, but that was really well said. I'm going to, because I asked the questions, how does Agile address diversity given the technical industries are dominated by men and it was created by men? So I would like to go with Alistair because you've been called the project witch doctor and have contributed to the software development and actually were co-authored the document. So you're next.
Okay, let me see. As you know, as I did before, my question is, does the manifesto, why are we putting this on the manifesto? So it says here, how does Agile address diversity? And I guess I would challenge that at the beginning. It's not Agile. It's got nothing to do with Agile. How do we and I don't want to say challenge diversity, and the word is more like include. How do we make natural the inclusion of diverse neurodiversity, right? But that's a we question. That's not an Agile question. That's an every person question. Every leader who has an option to make some choices. And so just, you know, the part of the question that got me was how does Agile address it? Agile doesn't address it at all. It says, you know, we're building software and we, you know, like these things. It's values for building software. So if I have these 2 minutes, I would say the Agile Manifesto was written by 17 men is true. Though I've been, you know, and I didn't even notice it. Yeah, I didn't create the invitation list, but I didn't notice the absence of women for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, and somebody commented it. And then the person that I kick myself forever that should have been there is Rebecca Wiersbrock, because I learned from her in 1992. I got her book. Right, so she helped me write my first book, She was in all the preceding meetings, like she knew everybody. She definitely should have been there. So we had that group there, but that's 2001 and now it's 2020. And so I'd like to shift the question from an echo from 20 years ago into the word agile is not going to help us. So I'll just make it in the present and say every person who has a choice should make that explicit. Now, in the Heart of Agile world, we have this pretty explicitly. We started the first Heart of Agile community in Australia. It was started by men in 2017. And we didn't like that. And I still chide them because there's still only men running the Heart of Agile community in Australia. And I harass them periodically. My number 2 is Sole Pinter, who's an Argentinian. She's here on the call listening. And we made a rule that every community needed to have at least one man, one woman from 2 different companies. And so now it's in the basic rule. Somebody says, hey, we want to start a Heart of Agile community in Peru. We go, okay, 1 man, 1 woman, 2 different companies, right? And so on. Okay. For the Heart of Agile, am I over?
Yes, you are.
I said everything I need to. No, I've said everything I need to. It's good.
I'm going to move into who wants to comment on this. Kerri, Melissa, David, Todd.
So I guess,
go ahead.
Yeah, you go, Todd.
No, you go.
I'll just jump in and say something that does come to my mind. I realize I would agree that diversity, Agile, that Agile isn't addressing diversity. But what I would say that I guess I would think about is that at its core, it's about collaboration. We talk about that, customer collaboration. When we look at the principles, you see collaboration in there. And I think there is a level of, if we're collaborating and we're wanting to hear all voices, then there's a level of inclusivity that is a core part of that. We don't just hear the voices that sound like ours, that look like ours, or that have the same message as we do. Hearing all voices and collaborating means hearing all voices. And that's everyone. And so I do think there's a level of, like I said, I think there could be loosely a, hey, if we're gonna follow this, let's make sure we're creating that space for the inclusivity. And at its core, just like much of everything else, it's all about human beings and how we intend to behave towards each other.
Yeah, and I think that's the key part is what is Agile doing that enables a better diversity situation. And I think it's, what I've observed over time here is that we have a lot of inclusivity. We have a lot of women in the Agile space, a lot of people, a lot of leaders in the Agile space that are women, which is great. I was organizing the 2011 Agile conference, and that was the 10-year anniversary of the manifesto. So the panel was all men. We did have a moderator, Lori Williams, who was a woman. The panel was fantastic, but the bigger part was the conference itself. And my favorite part of that was a blog post that a woman had written about how she attended the conference, and her feeling was that half the people there were women. And I said, we've succeeded in some extent. We're not perfect, but we've succeeded to some extent. And I'm a data nerd, so the number was wrong. It was only about 25 to 30%, but it just demonstrated how far we've come from the types of tech conferences where the typical was 10% women to a much higher. So the trending is right. I don't know what the numbers are for recent conferences, but I do have my own personal experience of diversity here with 2 training classes I've done. I taught a class last week, and 12 of the 20 attendees were women, and women of diversity. And this was at a major oil company, a major energy company here in Houston. I've been in oil and gas for 40 years. This is a huge, huge step forward in the oil industry. So, I think we have diversity challenges for sure, but I think we need to realize we're on a trajectory. I think that the thing about agility is by reinforcing the values, I think we're enabling inclusivity, right? Now, I can't say that I'm also teaching a class this week and it's all men. So, it's one of those things that happens with distributions, right? Can't be perfect.
I do just want to acknowledge, if we have a little bit more time, Sabine, something that Melissa said when she first spoke, which is everything that we've been talking about, while I completely appreciate it as a white woman, is really only just talking about women and not acknowledging that I'm not sure if I'm using the right word for this, but like the intersection of women and minority, and that's like an entirely different thing. It's like, we're really used to this, you know, we have women in Agile, like we're really used to that piece. We've been working on that for a while, but there's this other piece that we've missed until now. And so mostly I just wanted to acknowledge, not that I'm the genius, that Melissa said that. And then we kind of kept going and we didn't talk about it. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts? I got 1 minute left.
I have a thought.
Alistair.
To Todd's comment that there are more women showing up, like in the conferences. I'll take a little bit of credit, not me, but we writing it. The first value of the manifesto says individuals and interactions. And that opened a door where even from the very first Agile conference, which by the way, Todd Little helped organize in 2003, also in 2004, where women were coming in and feeling more comfortable because dialogue was made legitimate. Dialogue, interaction, quality of interaction was a primary topic. And so in a sense, the Agile Manifesto, when I said they were separate, right, diversity and the word Agile, the Agile Manifesto opened a door to a legitimacy around just simply being, interacting, conversing in a way that more women felt comfortable with. Did I use up the whole 60 seconds, Sabine?
You did. So we're at the timer. All right. Next question. It's about, it's kind of came from a popular demand, and it's about how can aspiring Agilists starting their Agile journey or careers, how can aspiring Agilists start their Agile journey when many feel they cannot get experience unless they change jobs, and yet employers are demanding both certifications and experiences? So with that, I'm first going to select Melissa Boggs about it.
Okay, let me unpack that question one more time. So how do we, because there were a lot of.
Yeah, so how do basically people who start on their Agile journey, who are aspiring to start on their Agile journey, are usually thinking that they have to change their jobs, right? And they feel that they cannot get the experience unless they change their jobs. But then the employers are only asking and demanding for certifications and experiences.
So to the first part of the question, I experimented with Agile values and principles and Scrum for a number of years with the title project manager. So you don't have to be, you don't have to have a specific title in order to integrate a way of thinking into the work that you do, into the way that you interact with your team or the way you interact with a customer. So being able to do that, you are gaining experience in applying, right, and doing that work. So I encourage a lot of people in that way. There's also lots of opportunities to volunteer, outside of your day job and apply this work and share that with nonprofits, with lots of different people, but I see it a lot in nonprofits. In terms of employers seeking both experience and certification, I think that really varies. And that's part of, it's funny, it's like part of this industry that we have built in trying to spread the word, if you will. Being the co-CEO of the company that I am the co-CEO for, I'm certainly not going to say that certification hurts, but I will say from my personal experience that what I got out of that course wasn't the piece of paper, it was the network, and it was the community, and it was the ability to talk to other people about Scrum and become better at it, which then led to more and more opportunity. And so I sort of think it's a combination of all of those things, There are some organizations that are absolutely going to say you have to have this certification. If you collect those other things and you don't have the cert, then perhaps if you can just get your foot in the door and be able to speak the language, then that gives you some credibility. I mean, what they're looking for with the certification is some level of validation of your, for some organizations, it's your knowledge. Some, it's just your commitment to learning about it. Like, oh, you took a course, so you must really care about this, you know? Mm-hmm. So I hope I answered the question. It was a multifaceted question.
Well, I don't know. David Hawks, what do you think? Did she answer the question, or what are your thoughts?
I think she's wrong.
Okay.
That's what you want. It's a debate, right? No. I think building on that, I think my first part of that answer would be covertly, right? Start doing things. You don't need to tell anybody else what you're doing, but hey, what if we did like, daily syncs, and what if we started like organizing our work in a list, and what if we start, I think there's things that you can introduce very, very kind of covertly and incrementally. I had an organization that a person that came to a CSM class and then went back. He was a leader, but he never told the team what he was doing. He never told them they were implementing Scrum or transforming or doing anything like that. And he just kind of started introducing different elements. And next thing you knew, there they were. They were a Scrum team, and they were working with more agility. I think there is, I think there's also opportunities like from a personal perspective of like managing your own work and starting to learn certain things and trying and learning from that. I think there's stories about how you can apply from a family perspective and with your kids. And there's all sorts of dynamics of things that you can start to learn. Melissa mentioned volunteering as well. If you do feel like you need to go somewhere else, then the advice I always give is use the domain expertise you have to get a job into a company of that domain. Try and leverage that to get into a company that's more agile, right? You might not be able to jump all the way from waterfall company to perfectly agile company, but maybe you can get into that agile company where you're a project manager doing more agile things that then you can leapfrog into the next opportunity. So those are some thoughts that I would have around that.
I want to know where this perfectly agile company is.
You're right, yeah.
Because I want that.
Sabine, do we have time? I'd like to respond.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the missing kind of elephant in the room for me is HR. I would be curious in the chat if anyone on the line, and we currently have 93 folks, are from HR. They're missing. They're missing from the sales. They're missing from the gap. In my short experience, the best that I've ever been is when I was a new Scrum Master, because I had absolutely no cognitive biases. And through that process, I've been, you're interviewing with HR, and quite frankly, they don't know what they're interviewing for to pre-screen you. And you get these wonderful consulting companies in that never have a come to Jesus. Like, part of the success of your agile transformation is identifying inside and outside talent that may not have experience, but has the passion and the ambition. And so I think until we bridge that gap of having HR really get some literacy around it and getting some help, we're going to continue to see that as a pain point in our community.
Sabine, you're on mute.
Comments from Kerri, Todd, or Alistair?
Well, I'll
go, Todd. You go, Todd.
I'll chime in a little bit here. I totally agree, Melissa. I think you're on to the problem. It doesn't necessarily mean we can solve it, right? Because we don't have direct influence over HR. That is a root problem, is that by and large organizations don't know how to hire people, so they rely on approaches. They don't have the time to screen, so they rely on automatic screening tools. And so that's a big part of the problem. But given that that's the problem, we have to figure out what can we do and what is there for someone can do, because they have they're powerless to change HR, but they are in power of their own career. And I think that gets back to exactly what David and Lyssa said as well, is, it's incremental, evolutionary change. Obviously, it's my mantra from the Kanban perspective, evolutionary change for everything. And of course, if you want a certification from Kanban University, you can get that too. But then you'll have everything, right? But it is about incremental. It's about taking active leadership. Take active leadership. Don't just feel the pity of I can't do anything. Yes, there's plenty you can do. You can start with what you do now. You can make incremental changes. You can do the same thing in Scrum as you can in Kanban. So you can take those incremental changes. Don't think it's a big bang. I think that's part of our problem. We're stuck in that big bang, and it doesn't have to be that way.
I didn't know we were pitching, Todd.
I'm just struck by the weirdness in the question, if I could, because you claim these are wicked questions, and the questions are intended to tangle you up. So my way of untangling is to find the weak word in the sentence that tangles us up, and then pull that word out, and then see if the thing falls apart, like I did at the beginning, right? I've done a couple of times. So here, when I look at this, how can aspiring Agilists, and I read the rest of the question, I read CSM. Programmers don't have that problem. Testers don't have that problem. All of you guys were talking about project managers and CSMs. Now you say, how can I get a job as a Scrum Master if I don't have a CSM? Go get a CSM. But if you're a programmer, they hire you because you can program. If you're a tester, they hire you, you can test. They aren't running into that problem. So that was my word that I pulled out, right? When I was looking at how do I untangle this problem? You made them wicked on purpose. And I agree, at the level of the people who are not the technical people who are looking to enter, then this is a riddle, and everything everybody else said is correct. But when I look at the programmers and testers, they don't have that. UI designers, nobody asks UI designer, you have your CSM. No, they go design me a UI. Right, so. But for everything else, I agreed with what everybody else said.
Any other thoughts? Kerri? You've got a minute and a half.
No, nothing to add to that.
All right, I'm going to reset the clock and go ahead and ask my next question. And
hey, we gained on the project.
And considering that Kerri said she didn't have anything to say, she's going to be the first one to answer this one. So how can internal Agile coaches create real agility by challenging the status quo while simultaneously maintaining their employment?
How can we, as internal coaches, challenge the status quo,
create real agility
while maintaining our employment? Absolutely. So, with finesse, of course. So there's a lot of things that come to my mind when I think about this. So the phrase that comes up for me, but I'll unpackage it and then would love for someone to punch into it. And that is, we talk a lot about meeting people where they are. And I think what's interesting about that is if you're an internal employee coach, how do you meet people where they are and then move them forward? So oftentimes what's always said is, hey, I want to, we want this change. Let's start change. I've just recently been hired to bring about change. And when I come in, I bring in a level of expertise or experience that's all about change. And I'm told, meet people where they are. And oftentimes, and what people are really saying is, meet me where I am and change everything about what you want to do to fit exactly where I am so I don't have to go anywhere. And what I would say is that as an internal coach, what I have found to be helpful and successful is I meet people where they are. I am transparent. I am direct with empathy about what I see and where I see change needs to happen. And I don't push people to the big bang comments that have been made from here to there in an instant. It's what are the things that we can change internally as a company that's going to help us move the needle towards the outcomes that we want to achieve. And I think being open about what you're seeing is important so that we're not trying to hide the elephant in the room. We acknowledge it, but we also recognize that, hey, I'm going to meet us where we are, but we're going to take small steps towards moving in a direction, whatever that direction might look like. And I think that's what's important. As an Agilist, I want to stay true to what I think is important, which is where do we deliver value? How do we get to those outcomes? And I don't want to hide behind what I'm seeing because it's uncomfortable, but I also don't want to be a jackass and cause people to not want to join me along this journey that we're about ready to take. So I think when I say finesse, I kind of chuckle, but it's true. How do we approach and talk to people, acknowledging where they are, but then showing them, here are some things you can do to move forward. Even if that moving forward is the tiniest of steps. Any movement is better than standing right where they are. So I think you need to make that clear. I think you need to show them some of the opportunities of what could be. And then I think you need a lot of patience to work with people to help that movement happen.
All right. And with that, I guess I'm going to hand it over to David. What do you think on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I'll build on the last part there, like the patience. You know, to me, the internal coach is going to have a longer, you know, compared to like the external consultant coach, right? Like there's a longer term relationship you must establish, but you also have the ability to establish, right? And so building that trust is in being a partner for, if we're talking like from a leadership perspective. And I think too often I see Agilists and coaches make a mistake of trying to do things to others, right? So challenging the status quo often mistakenly looks like you're doing it wrong and I know the right way and I'm going to go tell this leader how to do it the right way. And that doesn't work. And Todd was talking about earlier, like you've got to speak their language. Well, part of that is partnering with them to understand what their pain is and what their problems are, and then helping them see a way out of it, right? And again, in order to do that, you've got to build trust. If you're just coming in and just trying to shake everything up, right, that's not going to go very well. It can work for a consultant because it's like, all right, y'all are getting paid the big bucks, you know, that I call it the consultant effect of, you know, you hire this person from the outside and for whatever reason they listen to me, even though half the time all I do is go around and talk to people and ask them what's going on and then go tell their leaders what they've been telling them for years, right? But now they'll listen to me. So I'm like, just leverage it. Tell me what I need to go tell them and then we'll get it done together, right? But I think that internal coach, and just like any coach, even the external coach, like we can't just come in and tell people they're doing it wrong. Like, who are we? We're not in their shoes, right? It's kind of what Melissa was talking about as the leader earlier, right? Like walk in their shoes for a little bit and try and partner with them on that. So maybe your tactics, right? If you're ruffling feathers and you're doing things to get yourself fired, well, maybe you're approaching that a little bit wrong.
Alistair, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, you know, I've been listening and kind of waiting because Sole Pinter, I told you, my co-collaborator is here watching, and whenever this kind of a question comes up, I channel her. So since she's not on the panel, I'll just speak the short form of what she would say, if that's okay. We picked up a thing called solution focus coaching or solution focused psychotherapy based on solution focused psychotherapy. And you never do a root cause analysis. You always ask what a preferred future would look like. And on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? And the answer might be a 3 or a 4. And you never try to go more than a half a point better. So micro changes is the thing that we just anchor on and anchor on and anchor on. And she is an internal coach, right? I'm not. She is an internal coach. And that's what she does with whatever group that she does is she'll go, something or the other, what would you like? You know, okay, and on a scale of 1 to 10, where is it? Oh, it's, you know, it's pretty sucky. Well, how sucky? Well, it's like it's at a 2. Well, a 2's not a nothing, so there's something. Yeah. What, you think we can get it to a 2.5? What would a 2.5 look like? And so again, to your question about keeping your job, right? That used to be Ken Schwaber was famous for saying at the beginning, I noticed he said, a Scrum Master's not doing their job if they don't get fired. And then I took his class in 2008, and he didn't say that. He said, you shouldn't get fired because then you won't be around to be a good Scrum Master the next day. And I thought to myself, somebody got fired and they called him on it. And so he doesn't say that anymore, right? So he changed his tune.
He didn't offer them a job?
He did, right. But that was the big change stuff that, Ken was big on, back in the day. But at least in our world, we just go micro change. And after time, people are happy to see some. And Sola just wrote me on the side. And you're a little bit, as the coach, you're doing those micro changes, but you're keeping an eye on words that the upper management cares to hear. So you can show that the micro changes are adding up to something interesting from their perspective.
And a micro change to
us. She was kind of dumping me stuff to say right here.
I would say a micro change to us or to someone might be a monster step to someone else. So,
but you ask them what's a micro change to them, right? It's as several people have said, it's up to them. But you just ask for a little bit, and it's amazing what people can do, just a little bit, and then they feel good about it. And if that's all you get, that's all you get, right? But anyway.
I'd like to challenge this really quickly by saying, in my most eloquent word, this job ain't for everybody, A-I-N-T. And I come from Todd Little and Davil Poncho's training class, and I'll be honest, there is a point to me in your career where you have to demonstrate bravery and you have to demonstrate courage. And it means asking the client flat out, like, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear, or do you want me to be transparent in building that trust? And they say, okay, I want to know what the Agile, and you're like, all right, this is what it is. And if you haven't wanted to wear Depends underwear at least one day for something you said, then, honestly, this job may not be for you. Traditional PMI for me means covering up, not telling, not being transparent, making the business feel comfortable. And agility is like, Houston, we got a problem. Here's what it is. Here's our mitigation plan. Here's what we need to work on in retrospect to get it right the next time. And if you can't demonstrate that as a Scrum Master, a coach, a product owner, or a product manager, don't sign up for agility. Don't waste your money on taking the classes.
Good. Absolutely. I mean, that's great, Melissa. And so the one thing I would add to all of this also is the one thing that we really come back to all totally in the Kanban perspective is you've got to understand the status quo. You can't come in and tell them you got to change if you don't fully understand the status quo. You got to spend the time, understand what's working, what's not. Don't tell them just jump in, oh, I got this wonderful new thing. Well, do you even understand what we do? No. I mean, I'm just coming in, I'm the coach from the outside to tell you what to do because I'm brave. That's not brave, that's stupid, right? Brave is actually doing something where you have a good chance of succeeding, right? So understand that, understand what they do now, understand what they're dissatisfied with, what's working for them, why has it persisted, right? Do you think it's broken, right? But, Dr. Phil is great at telling us if something has persisted for a long time, there's something that's working for people. So what is it that's working for people that's keeping this persistent problem? What is it they're actually dissatisfied with? Because what they're dissatisfied with is the opportunity. That's the opportunity to go in and say, now let's do something about it, which is that act of bravery, act of leadership. And then we can make some progress.
I just want to add one more thing because I wasn't going to, but Todd, what you just said just like keeps prompting what's coming up for me. When we talk about speaking their language, if you do that superficially, then it's bordering on manipulation. if you make it your language, that doesn't mean be okay with the status quo, but make it your language and truly understand where they are, because you've been in it with them, especially as an internal coach, you have the opportunity. Then it's not superficial. It's not manipulation. It's like, okay, we're in this together. I get it. You know, I understand where you want to go. I understand where you are right now. But I think sometimes we just try to speak the language, and that shows up. Like, that is evident when it's superficial.
I think so too.
Any other comments on this before I close this one out? Okay, so we're hitting our time to kind of jump into a Q&A session from the public. So thank you so much for participating in this. I don't think it was as wicked. Maybe I should have been tougher on this. So next time I'll try to make sure it's more difficult than this. But again, I've got a lot more left, so maybe we can have a second round at some time.
That was pretty difficult. I don't think you could make it any more difficult than that and get anybody to open their mouth, I'll tell you.
That was a great job, Sabine.
Great job, Sabine.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let me open up.
That was an amazing construction that you did there. Both the structure of the last 45 minutes and the actual questions and the way you facilitated. I will say that was totally amazing.
I will take credit for the facilitation, but the questions, I would have to give the credit to my team because I had 5 other people helping me out. Dr. Montgomery, Sam, Paul, Smitha, Tony. So yeah, I've got to give them credit for those questions.
Good. All good. I've never seen it before. It was smoking, is all I have to say.
Yeah, thank you so much. So let me bring up some questions from the public. I've got, considering the state of agility, how do you feel about the future of the mindset? Is it being oversold and watered down, too many failures and being smeared? Or is it the diverse adoption, even in small measures of success, proof that the mindset will live on? Should I read it again?
Yeah, please.
I'll even post it on the site. Considering the state of agility, how do you feel about the future of the mindset? Is it being oversold and watered down, too many failures and being smeared? Or is it the diverse adoption, even in small measures of success, proof that the mindset will live on? I'm posting it on the chat now. And I'll open it up to
I'm more bullish on the market than I've ever been, as far as in terms of people truly, enterprises truly embracing and adopting and doing what it takes for an enterprise to shift. And the reason for that is I think pre-COVID, organizations, especially enterprises, were transforming to Agile for vanity reasons. It was, well, everybody else is, waterfall's the old thing, Agile's the new thing. Everybody's doing safe. We've got to do safe, right? Like those reasons were terrible. And like trying to get out of them, what are the true business outcomes? And really was a transformation, a prioritized thing. But what I think happened over the last 6 months is those leaders saw their every enterprise has Agile teams somewhere, right? And some are better than others. And they saw the stronger Agile teams thrive in ways that their non-Agile teams or their superficial Agile teams didn't. And I think also, I did a leadership talk before COVID, and I talked about VUCA, and most of the leaders didn't understand that. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't really apply to us. And then I did it a month into COVID, and everybody was like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, yes, that's the world we live in. So I think organizations are now more all in, and we're seeing that with a resurgence of activity of companies saying like, we need help and we need it now. So I'm pretty bullish on companies are really sinking. And I think also some of what I said earlier, there's enough experiences at the team level that now leaders can get how that might translate at scale and how that might translate at whole org that they couldn't necessarily appreciate 10 years ago.
I've got another question, which is called, based on the mention of middle management conflict, with Agile implementation, what is the role of middle management in the role of Agile? Do they become Scrum team members, but they won't be accepted either? So based on the mention of middle management conflict with Agile implementation, what is the role of middle management in the role of Agile? Do they become a Scrum team member, but they won't be accepted either?
I don't think I can answer that one. I think I have to stay silent because I really don't think I have an answer. If somebody else says something, maybe I'll be able to riff off of it, but I can't. I'm sorry, my brain was with the previous question because I really liked the previous question. I haven't got anything going good on this one. I would just be depressing about the role of middle managers, and I'm hoping somebody could be optimistic and say something.
I posted it on the chat too. So does anybody?
I don't like it anymore if you posted it or if I just heard it. Sorry.
So
I like it, Alistair. I like the previous question too. My answer to the previous question is yes. I haven't untangled the whole thing, but the answer is yes.
And my answer is yes, but I wanted to say that you guys are still talking about Agile and software. And my colleagues and I are all taking it outside of software and the benefit we see there, because you don't get into the Agile industrial complex and the certs, and people aren't talking about transforming companies, right? So less of a push and more of a pull. And then you really see if you take a group, something, and you shift it even a little bit toward the Agile side, the benefits and the happiness go up. So that's where people like us spend maybe a bit more of our lives there. And that's the yes part. Yeah. But I'll make my answer really short because we're on the next question.
Yeah. My answer to the yes is I think Agile Manifesto is being oversold, as is every, it's an opportunity to sell, it's going to sell, right? And
yeah.
But at the same time, I think it does have sustainability. I mean, there is something there. It's just what is there is an opportunity to sell, so it's going to be oversold. It's going to be say that's the missing ingredient. You got to have that, but that's because there's too many people looking for the magic ingredient and not actually doing it. Short answer on middle managers is it depends, right? It depends on what role they're playing now and where you're moving towards. I think as long as there is a role for middle manager, there is a role that they're playing. Now, if their role, in some cases, the role that they're playing may not make sense in a future state that evolves. We don't know, right? But it all depends on what they're doing now, and are they enabling success, or are they just middle managers handling transactions? And if they're handling transactions, then maybe you ought to look for other ways to handle those transactions. And then they have to figure out where they exist in the new organization, whatever that may look like. So I don't think there's an easy answer to that question, other than
they need to
really understanding it first.
Yeah, to me, they need to stop looking down, and they need to start looking out. Right? It's not about managing the team and the work. Agile and Scrum and Kanban and all those things are going to help them solve a lot of that. But what they need to learn is, how do I work with my peers? How do we optimize across the value stream? And those are new skills that middle managers haven't had to do because they just were managing their silo.
Melissa.
I think here's my spill on it. I really honestly think that most middle managers don't want to manage people. I think they're the smartest, they're the brightest, they're the organic kind of team leaders in the hierarchy that the groups form, and they have families to feed, and you offer them a $10,000 raise, and so they take the job. I think if most middle managers had an opportunity to keep the pay and join a team and take that pressure off, they would gladly do it. I think the issue is when you change the economic optics, if you will, and if you have a toxic middle manager that's consumed with the ego and the command and control, those are the two kind of outliers. But I think most middle managers, hey, if I can keep the money you know, and you're not going to take the pay scale away, and I can be a part of the team and absolve myself, having not had any genuine formal training, which most middle managers, I think we've all been victim at some point in our careers to the manager who's super smart and really sucks as a people person or a people manager. They be game for it. So I think it's something we should explore in that area.
I'll challenge that minutely in that I do think it's very culturally specific. I think there are some organizations where that the title, the authority, the power that comes with climbing the ladder is really rewarded and saluted and the whole 9 yards. And there's an ego piece that comes with that. Overall, I think I agree with you, but my answer to this whole question is like, there's not one answer, because it's extremely culturally specific to what's going on in that company. And, you know, why do people become middle managers? You know, if it is the money, then perhaps, you know, just keeping them there is fine. But if there's a myriad of other reasons that they see people being recognized or see people being rewarded, then that's going to play into it too.
Okay, if you guys don't mind, can I ask one more question then to you? So, so someone posted, what is the one thing teams today are doing that is hurting them more than helping them?
Something that I have seen, and I don't want this to be a like every team. I would just say something I have seen. So an example is teams who are looking to, so if we tie back to leadership, but are looking to leaders, looking to others to solve their problems, and instead of being solution focused on their own. And I've seen that in more than one working environment. So I think, you know, when you create the space to empower a team, but you need that team to be willing to accept that and say, absolutely, I'll take and run with it. Because a lot of times if people aren't ready to accept it, they're just looking for someone else to give them answers. And I think when they can become solution focused, then that's something that can help them in their success. So that's something I have seen on teams before.
But Kerri, that means they'd be accountable.
Yes, they would.
And I get paid the same if I don't step into that, and I don't have any accountability. I don't have to stick my neck out. Right. But I agree. I think it is the, you know, you can say you're empowered and you could mean it, but yeah, what's the safety in stepping into that realm for the team?
I'm speaking as the team right now. I'd be willing to step into that realm and accept accountability if someone taught me how. However, for the longest time, I've always been told what to do, and I haven't been taught how to make value-based decisions, and I haven't been taught how to take accountability for it. And so if you taught me that, along with the accountability that you're giving me and the freedom that you're giving me, I probably feel a lot more equipped to do that. I feel like we're doing a force constellation.
Yeah, so the one thing I would say that teams are doing that's hurting them more than helping them is following a prescription and sticking to it, and not challenging themselves. Not if they're doing the same thing they were doing before, you know, when they were taught, they haven't gotten it. They haven't gotten agility. They haven't evolved. It's always evolving, right? There is no perfect state. There is no end state. It's a continuous evolution, continuous change. And if they haven't challenged that, if they haven't asked, you know, why are they doing what they're doing, they're hurting themselves.
I'm going to try, yeah, they're not taking accountability, not stepping out of their job description, right? So they have a tight job description, it's nice and safe in there. To step out of that, to take some responsibility for shifting the bigger team, that's a big one because there's a bravery issue there. The other one is really, especially inside the programmer pool, really trying to understand the words and the life from the view of the users. Trying to get them to write even user stories from the user's perspective is virtually impossible. They literally can't see it. So those are the two. I don't know that I'd jump one above the other, but those are the two that I was thinking about.
My answer was going to be not actually interacting with customers, you know, using Scrum. Sprint reviews with like your boss is not the same thing as inviting actual customers to the conversation.
I think my answer really quickly is, you know, having folks volunteer to adopt. At some point, you gotta separate the skeptics from the cynics, you know, and the folks that are cynics are cancerous on a team. It's like, you know, let them do the legacy, let them maintain that. But the people that are showing, you know, forward movement and curiosity, at some point, I think allowing people to opt in or opt out, you know, and say, are you really on board with this? Or are you going to continue to kind of stay in the storming stages and fight it to the end, you know? So I think giving them that option at some point and empowering people to still have employment and say, you know what, I got 2 years to retirement. I'm not interested. I don't want to learn the latest thing.
I would say teams may be working incrementally and iteratively, but most top leaders are very waterfallish in their wanting certain certainty on what is going to be delivered from the teams. So closing out options too early, making early commitments hurt the most in most organizations I have worked with. And yes, Kanban helps us defer commitment. Putting in a plug right there for you, Todd.
Thank you, Aparna. I appreciate that. And Todd was actually complimenting you last night to me, so I think I've heard about you. So thank you. Any other thoughts before we close out? You guys didn't give me an opportunity for you to actually really go at it. So last question for you, and I'm hoping there are people taking sides here. iPhone versus Android, which one?
iPhone all the way.
iPhone.
iPhone.
Are you all kidding me? Like the one question I asked you guys all use iPhone? Okay. All right.
I'm sorry.
All right, you good.
Let's try.
All right, cool. So with that, I'm going to give it to Melissa. Melissa, you want to just say thank you?
Yeah, so I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. This has been a really exciting and dynamic panel on behalf of the ALNH board. We'd like to thank Agile Austin, Sabine, Susmitha, Jonathan, Irma, Gilbert, Todd, Melissa, Alistair, David, Kerri. You guys have been great. And us here in Houston, we're a really slowly maturing market. We need your voices. Your allyship is really important. We're glad to have you join us, and we look forward to having the continued conversation on our LinkedIn, and hopefully you guys took advantage of the LinkedIn game where you guys will meet up for virtual coffee with folks. I know I did. And stay safe, stay brave, stay agile.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Have a great evening.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. It was fun. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much, everybody.